situation in life is temporary. So, when life is good, make sure you enjoy and receive it fully. And when life is not good, remember that it will not last forever and better days are on the way. With these quotes, students, a very beautiful good morning to each one of you. Today, we are going to start chapter number 24, that is active and passive voice. Definition of active voice is a sentence in which the doer of the action gets more importance than the person or thing to which the action is done is in the active voice. For example, I painted the fence. Second, Sita bought a new laptop. Definition of passive voice is a sentence in which the thing to which the action is done or the receiver of the action, a table, gets more importance than the doer of the action is in the passive voice. The fence was painted by me. A new laptop was bought by Sita. Students, on page number 149, now we shall start. The active and passive voices are ways of showing the relation between the doer and the receiver of an action. In the active voice, the subject does the action denoted by the verb, and in the passive voice, the subject is acted upon and hence is the receiver of the action denoted by the verb. For example, Tina broke the window pane. So this sentence is in active. The window pane was broken by Tina. This sentence is passive voice. Both these sentences refer to the same event, though with a difference in focus. In the first sentence, the subject Tina does something. The verb broke expresses the action done by Tina. The verb broke is said to be in the active voice. Now the second sentence, the window pane was broken by Tina. In the second sentence, which tells us that something was broken to the subject window, the verb was broken expresses an action done to the subject window. The verb phrase was broken is said to be in the passive voice. Students, once again, here, when you are doing active and passive voice, underline the verb. Tina broke the window pane. So here, Tina is the doer of the action and the window pane is the receiver of the action. Broke is the verb. Whenever you are doing, underline first the verb, broke. Now, that particular sentence, the window pane was broken by Tina. Now in the second sentence, the window pane became the doer of the action and Tina became the receiver of the action. And broke you will change broke into was broken. And by is the agent. So here, students, in active passive voice, we have to interchange the position. Doer of the action becomes a receiver of the action and receiver of the action becomes the doer of the action in passive voice. Voice is that form of a verb which shows that the person or thing denoted by the subject does something or has something done to it. Active to passive conversion. So here certain rules are there to convert a sentence from active to passive voice. Let's see the rules. First rule. When we change a sentence in the active voice into the passive, the object of the sentence become its subject. The verb takes on the passive form, that is B type verb. B plus past participle of the verb, that is V3. B plus V3 you will use to tell us what is done to the subject. First, whenever you start, students, underline the verb so that and rest all will be the exchange of position. Doer will be receiver and receiver will be doer. Yes. For example, Priya submitted the assignment. Here Priya is the subject, submitted is the active verb, and Priya submitted what? The assignment. So the assignment is the object of the sentence. Now when you are converting, so the assignment will come in the first position. Priya will be the receiver of the action. So here the assignment was submitted by Priya. Now submitted will turn into was submitted, that is in passive form. And here the agent is what? By agent is what? Priya. So the assignment was submitted by Priya, the answer will be. Now the next rule. In the passive voice, when the subject of the active sentence comes after the verb, we add by before it to show that it is still the doer of the action. For example, Rohan painted the fence. So here the fence was painted by whom? By Rohan. So here by agent you will be using Rohan. Next rule. To change the verb into the passive, an appropriate form of the verb, that is B type, is added before the main verb, which takes on its past participle form. So here in passive voice what will happen? You will be using the past participle form. Let's see. Passive voice is equal to be plus past participle of the main verb. For example, the driver parked the car. Please take the pencil, underline parked. Now here, now be type verb, parked is given. So here, the car, past tense, it is parked is past tense. So you will be using the car was parked by the driver. So underline was parked. Rest all exchange of or interchange of position. The car will come as a subject and the driver will be the receiver over there. Next one, the boys help the old man. So here help is in present tense. So the verb B type verb will be in present tense. The old man is helped, that is V3 you will be using. Helped by the boys. So now we will take page number 150, the next rule. Only transitive verbs, verbs that can take objects, can be changed in the passive voice. Intransitive verbs have no object, so they cannot be used in the passive voice. So here the meaning is you cannot use intransitive verbs, you will be using only transitive verbs. So which verbs? Those verbs will be, which you will get an by asking the question what or whom or who, you will get the answer, that is the object, that is direct object or indirect object. So here the example is given. Meeta broke the vase. Meeta broke what? The vase. So the vase is the object, that is the direct object. So here broke is the transitive verb. The verb broke takes the object was. Hence it is transitive and has a passive voice. The vase was broken by whom? By Meeta. I got the answer when I asked in the passive form also. I get the answer. The vase was broken by whom? By Meeta. I got it. So that particular was broken is also a transitive verb. So here, next example, Meeta cried quietly. Meeta cried how? Quietly. I got the answer quietly, but I didn't get the object over there. So here the verb cried does not have an object, yet the sentence is complete. The verb cried is intransitive. So here no passive voice will come. The same Meeta cried quietly will be the active voice. Next rule. When we change a sentence from the active voice into the passive voice, the verb must agree with the subject in person and number. When I say person, first person, second person, third person, that is I, you, we, he, she, it, they, and number, that is singular, plural. So here the example is given. The teacher is scolding the students. Here the teacher is singular. The singular subject teacher takes the singular verb, that is scolding. So here next to teacher what will come is, and scolding is what? Continuous tense. Keep in mind, is scolding the students. Now here the students, when you are interchanging the positions, that is the receiver of the action will be the doer in passive voice. At that moment the students is plural, so are will come over there. Keep in mind, and the formation of the verb also changes. Are being scolded will be used. Is scolding will turn into are being scolded. So here the students are being scolded by the teacher. The subject is now plural, the students. So it takes the plural verb are being scolded. Next example. They are asking me to leave. So here underline are asking. Now here asking is continuous tense. So keep in mind, when you are using a continuous tense, at that moment being asked, that is V3 you will be using. Now here me is given, so it will turn into I. I am being asked to leave. So here underline am being asked. So here the asked will turn into am being asked. Why? Because me is given, so me will turn into I. Next one. When we change a sentence from the active voice into the passive voice, the tense of the verb remains the same. Means what? You won't change the tense. The mongoose killed the snake. So active voice, simple past tense. Now when you are turning active into passive voice, again it will remain the past tense only, simple past tense only. The snake was killed by the mongoose. So here killed is also past tense and was killed is also past tense. On page number 150 there is a table. Let's do. Verbs in the passive voice are formed in the following ways. So first column tenses, that is which tense is given, that is given. Second column an example is given in active voice. Third column examples are given in passive voice. And in the fourth column, the form of the passive voice is given. Form of the passive voice of the verb is given. So let's do. First one, simple present tense. Students, please take a pencil and underline the verb. He cleans his car every day. So underline cleans. Cleans is what? Verb, which is in present tense. That is simple present tense. When you are forming it into passive voice, you will write the same formation, but you will be using B type verb plus past participle. The car is cleaned by him every day. So the form of the passive voices is / past participle. As you are using the car is singular, so you will use is. Now form of passive voice is given is or am or are plus past participle. Next one, simple past tense. Now, first example, Rohit took the car yesterday. So underline took over there. Took, that is take is in present tense, took is in past tense. Now passive voice will be the car was taken by Rohit yesterday. So took will turn into was taken. So underline was taken. And the form of passive voice is was / were plus past participle. If it is a plural, then you'll use were. But over here, the car is given, car is singular, so you'll be using was and V3, that is past participle. Next one, simple future tense. The example is Tina will finish the work tomorrow. So please underline will finish. Now, in passive voice, the work will be finished tomorrow by Tina. So, will finish will turn into will be finished. Your form of passive voice will be will plus be plus past participle. Now, when you are using going to form, so here in simple future tense we use going to form also. For that example is Tina is going to make dinner tomorrow. So, please underline is going to. Make also, because make will turn into made. So here answer in passive voice will be dinner is going to be made by Tina tomorrow. So please underline is going to be made. So is going to make will turn into is going to be made. So the form of passive voices, or the form of passive verb is going to plus be plus past participle. Now, the next one is present continuous tense. So, if the verb is in present continuous tense, what will be? Here the example is the police is following the suspect. The answer will be in passive voice. The suspect is being followed. So, is following will turn into, because ing is there, so being will come. B-E-I-N-G. The suspect is being followed by the police. So, here M slash is slash are plus being plus past participle. If I is used, then M will come. If he, she, it or singular is used, then is will be used. And if plural, then are will be used. And being will be there and past participle will be there. Now on page number 151, the first one on the top is past continuous tense. Now in active voice, the workers were distributing sweets. Please underline were distributing. Now in passive voice, the answer will be the sweets were being distributed by the workers. So please underline were being distributed. So the form of the passive verb is was slash were plus being plus past participle. Now if the sentence is in present perfect tense, now for example, the teacher has graded the answer sheets. Please underline has graded. The answer sheets have been graded by the teacher. So this is the passive form. Underline have been graded. So here has graded, you will change it into have been graded. Why have? Because sheets more than one, plural. So you will use have. Form of the passive verb is has slash have plus been plus past participle. Next one, past perfect tense. Example, Sumit had driven many cars before he bought this one. So please underline had driven. So the passive form of this particular thing, that is active voices, many cars had been driven by Sumit before he bought this one. So had driven, had is what? Past perfect. So here been will come. Keep in mind, had been driven will be the answer. Had driven will turn into had been driven. Now here the form of the passive verb is had plus been plus past participle. Now the next one is future perfect. If the sentence is in future perfect, for example, Rohan will have completed the project before the deadline. So here please underline will have completed. Now the answer will be the project will have been completed by Rohan before the deadline. So will have completed will turn into will have been completed. Why? Because it is a perfect tense. So been you will be using. So the form of the passive verb is will plus have plus been plus past participle. Now when you use modal verbs, when I say modal verbs, must is a modal verb, may, might, can, could, shall, should, will, would. So need, dare, ought, they are modal verbs which help to give you possibility, prediction, suggestions, ability, certainty. So they help to form the sentence. So here when you are using a modal verb, at that moment how should be your form? Let's see. For example, the principal may discuss the problem soon. So here what is the modal verb? May. May turns in past tense might. So here may is and discuss is what? Main verb. So here may discuss will turn into may be discussed. The problem may be discussed by the principal soon. So please do underline may discuss and underline may be discussed. So here the verb form is model plus be. Model means what? Those helping verbs plus be type verb plus past participle of the verb. Once again, model plus be plus past participle of the verb. Now students, let's do uses of active and passive voice on page number 152. Uses of the active voice. We use the active voice when the doer of the action is to be made prominent, that is important. The passive voice is used when the person or thing receiving the action is more important or when the action itself is more important. So here, if the doer is very important, you will be using the active voice, and if the receiver is more important, you will be making or forming the sentence into passive voice. So certain rules are given. Let's see. First rule, use the active voice. Now when to use active voice? When the doer's identity is important. For example, the butler did it. So here it's an active voice because the doer's identity is very important. Next one, use the active voice when you want to be direct or emphatic, when you want to stress or when you are fully confident at that moment, use emphatic sentences or direct sentences. The management expects the staff to come on time. So this particular sentence is an active voice. Next one, use the passive voice. Now when to use? When the action is more important than the doer. Let's see. All traitors will be punished. So what is the action done? Will be punished. By whom? By them, by the police, by the leader. So this particular sentence is passive voice. Next one, in this case, it is not necessary to say who will do the punishing. That's understood. It can be omitted. The fear of being punished will prevent most people from turning traitors. So here the explanation is done. So if they are going to be punished, then next time they won't be the traitors. They won't be betraying their clan, their group. Okay. So the next rule, use the passive voice to show an objective idea or opinion. So when you want to show an objective idea or opinion, you have to use passive voice. For example, Dr. Raman considered it to be miracle drug, but it had serious side effects. So this particular sentence is what? An active voice. Why? Because you're important. Who's giving the opinion? Dr. Raman is giving. And what is the verb? Considered is the verb. Now, what will be the answer? It was considered to be the miracle drug, but it had serious side effects. So here, to be miracle drug. So here it is in passive voice because what? An opinion is given, an idea is given that this particular drug may have a side effect. Next one, the statement in the active voice, that is the first one. Dr. Raman considered it to be miracle drug, but it had serious side effects. Now here, this statement suggests that Dr. Raman made an error. That is, he made a what? An error. What was that? It had a side effect. Now, in passive voice, gives important information about the drug without suggesting anything, either positive or negative about Dr. Raman. That what? That it was considered to be a miracle drug, but it had side effects. By whom? Dr. Raman, because he had made. Now here, use of by, where we are going to use the by agent. Let's see. When it is necessary to mention the doer of the action in the passive sentence, we use the preposition by followed by the doer. The doer is then called the agent in the passive voice. Now let's see. Given, students, please take a pencil and we have to underline. Please underline the verb, not by. And the agent also, no need. You can write with pencil what it is. First sentence in the example, he wrote a letter. So wrote is what? The verb. Okay. And The answer, and that is active voice. Keep in mind, he wrote a letter. Wrote is a verb which is in past tense. Now the answer of wrote will be was written. That is B type verb plus V3. Keep in mind. Now wrote is what, past tense, so over here was will come. The B type verb will be was. A letter was written by him. So here was written, your verb will be, and the letter was written by whom? Him. Why? Because he wrote a letter. He is a boy. He is a male. And so him will be used to denote him. Next example, I give her a present every year. So here, once again repeating, I give her a present every year. So here give is the verb which is in present tense. So you will be using is. She is given. So give will turn into is given. That is B type verb plus V3. Is given a present by whom? By me. I will turn into me. So here me is the agent, and by is the preposition. Keep in mind. And is given is the verb. Okay, in passive voice. She is given a present by me every year. Students, over here on page number 153, there is a table in which first column talks about the subject in active voice and the second column talks about the agent in the passive voice. So here I will be changed to me, that is by me. We will change to into by us. You will be by you only, it won't change. He will be by him, and she will change into by her. It will change, it will remain same as it is by it. They will change into by them. So here in passive voice it will turn into the object of the preposition by. That is by me, by us, by you, by him, by her, by it, and by them. We use with and not by to talk. Please underline, students. Take a pencil and please underline this particular rule. It's very, very important. We use with and not by to talk about an instrument used by the doer, that is agent. For example, someone cut the tree with what? With an axe. So you won't use by an axe, keep in mind. Or you won't use the tree was cut by an axe. You will use with an axe only. Next one. The guard was stabbed with a knife. So here you will use with a knife. You won't use by a knife. Keep in mind. Next one. Omission of the doer. First rule. When the doer, that is agent of an action, is unimportant, means it not required, we can omit it while forming the passive. That is, it is understood. For example, people warned us about the dirty drinking water in the city. So the answer will be, we were warned about the dirty drinking water in the city by the people. But you can omit and you can write that in the bracket, by the people. So even if you won't write, that's understood. That's not an important. Okay. Next rule. We can leave out the doer in the passive if the focus is on a process or scientific experiment and not on the person. So here once again repeating, please be cautious, please underline. We can leave out the doer in the passive voice. What we can do, we can leave. We can not necessary that you should write. It is understood. If the focus is on the process or means about if you are talking about the work or something important or a scientific experiment, if you are talking or and not on the person at that moment, it is understood. You can omit that person. For example, someone sealed the containers. So here, the containers were sealed by someone. So here what the rule says, we can leave out the doer in the passive voice. Okay. Why? Because we are talking over here regarding the containers. So here, by someone can be omitted in the passive voice. Next rule. We can leave out the doer in the passive if the agent is Oblivious. Oblivious means clear. People speak English all over the world. So here it's understood that the people will be speaking. So when you turn this particular active voice into passive voice, the answer will be English is spoken all over the world by people. Even if you won't write by people, that is understood. So here, going for the next page, page number 154. Passive form of transitive verbs with two objects. The meaning is that you can get a direct object as well as an indirect object if you ask a question to the transitive verb. So here I shall read now. When a verb in the active voice has both a direct and an indirect object, either of the objects may become the subject of the passive verb. So what can happen? Either of the objects, that is direct or indirect object, can become the subject of the passive verb. So given examples. First one, Lena teaches me German. This particular active sentence, now when you turn it into passive voice, you can form in two ways. First one, German is taught to me by Lena, and the second sentence you can form is I am taught German by Lena. Now the next example is the manager will send you the flowers. This particular active voice sentence, now when, once again reading, the manager will send you the flowers. Now when you turn this active voice into passive voice, you can form in two ways. First way, the flowers will be sent to you by the manager. And the second way is you will be sent the flowers by the manager. So here you can start with the flowers also and you can start with you also. Now in the question first one, Lena teaches me German. So Lena teaches whom? Me. What? German. Now when you ask the question what, Lena teaches what? German. So the German is the direct object and me is the indirect object. And in the second sentence, the manager will send you the flowers. The manager will send what? Flowers or the flowers. Now to whom? You. So the flowers is the direct object and you is the indirect object. So you can take even direct object also as the subject. You can take even the indirect object also as the subject of the sentence. Now the next one, we shall study passive of infinitives. When I say infinitives, there are two types of infinitives. One is 2 plus V1 or the other one is bare infinitive. Now let's see. When a statement in the active voice has a to infinitive, that is 2 plus V1, that is to dance, to play, to speak, to ask, at that moment, what to be done? Once again reading. When a statement in the active voice has a to infinitive that takes an object, the infinitive can be turned into the passive in this way. That is, the form is to be plus past participle, that is 2 plus B plus V3. For example, here one table on page number 155 is given. First column you have active voice sentences and in the second one you have passive voice sentences, that is those are formed into passive voice. So here the first sentence in active voice is I am to learn French. So the answer will be French is to be learnt by me. So please underline is to be learnt. Next sentence. It is time to cook the food. The answer will be it is time for the food to be cooked. Please underline to be cooked. Next one. Meena wants Niti to help her. So the answer will be Meena wants to be helped by Niti. Please underline in passive voice to be helped, and in active voice please underline to learn, to cook, to help. So here in passive voice what you'll underline? To learn, and in passive voice to be learned, and in active voice to cook, that you'll underline in passive voice to be cooked. Then in active voice to help. Now in passive voice you will underline to be helped. Let's start with the next one. Passive of imperative sentences. Now when we are forming passive of imperative sentences, first we should know what are imperative sentences. Sentences which give commands, requests or suggestions are called imperative sentences. To form the passive forms of imperative sentences which are commands, we use the form is let plus subject plus be, not if negative sentence is there, plus past participle. Example, call the doctor. Your answer will be let the doctor be called. Second one, do not hurt anybody. The answer will be let nobody be hurt. So whenever it is an imperative sentence, a command sentence, please form the sentence with let. Next rule, when making a request or a suggestion, we use you plus be plus past participle. For example, work hard. So the answer will be you are advised to work hard. Second one, get out of the room. So the answer will be you are ordered to get out of the room. Next one, wipe your feet. The answer will be you are requested to wipe your feet. The last one, that is the fourth one, please help him. The answer will be you are requested to help him. Now here the second sentence, get out of the room. It can be an order, it can be a suggestion also. So here when you are giving a given rule about when request or suggestion, you can use you plus be type. Now here get out of the you is taken as plural, so you will be using you are ordered to get out of the room. So students, here I have completed the chapter. So go through the chapter, understand the rules and try to form the question paper of this and practice well with the given examples. Thank you. Have a wonderful day ahead.